So, Mr. Producer, you sent me this article right before the show from a website that is sort of the Media Matters wannabe site, filled with reprobates, morons, and their ilk. And so now I have to make a decision. Do I address Chatsworth Osborne Jr., as Rush called him, or do I wait? I'm grinding my teeth, biting the bit, to address Chatsworth Osborne Jr. But let me do it this way. I'm sure you have my phone number. You have something you want to say, be a man. Pick up your damn phone and call me. Don't twist my words and then pat yourself in the head with some clown sitting next to you. I don't even know who this guy is. Honestly, I don't watch. But I'm just saying, feel free. And maybe I'll take this battle public day in, day out, day in, day out. But it is a waste of time. And it just plays into the hands of the leftists. But I got to do what I got to do. Reading is fundamental. Read. Or give me a call. Chatsworth. Rush still has it on his website. It was a character from Dobie Gillis in the 1960s. You can check the internet. Mr. Producer says, no, don't. I'm telling you, I'm ready to roll. I really am, but I'm going to hold back right now. And you guys at media, you're disgusting. You just disgust. You exist to do stupid stuff with stupid headlines. Then you get suckers who are hooked on it, regurgitate it. But it's important that people learn how to read. It's important that they learn how to reason. And so we're more than happy. You got my number, pal. Pick up your damn phone and call it. Now, Rush used to call our friend Tucker, who was a friend of mine. I mean, we didn't socialize or anything. But Tucker's kind of transitioned, if you will. He was first at the Weekly Standard, which I think he would call a thoroughly neocon magazine with his friend Bill Kristol. I don't believe they're friends anymore. I don't know. I don't keep track of either of them, quite frankly. So I guess he was a neocon at one point. And now he is whatever he is. But Rush used to call him Chatsworth Osborne Jr. because he wore that kind of goofy tie at the time. And he had a caller, did Rush, and this is still on his website, and Rush and I were best friends, so I knew all about it. He didn't think much of Chatsworth, but that's neither here nor there. So caller calls and he says, "Hi, Mega Dittos, Rush. My question is real simple. Why Chatsworth Osborne Jr.?" "Well, you mean, why do I call Tucker Carlson sometimes Chatsworth Osborne Jr.? Yeah, I call him that now. My wife says, stop that," laughing. "Do you know who Chatsworth Osborne Jr. was?" "No, I don't." "Do you remember watching television show?" "How old are you?" 60. I didn't watch much TV, though." "Well, there was a very, very popular TV show in the 60s called Dobie Gillis." "Okay, I never saw that." "It was a college kid program. Dobie Gillis was a college student, and his buddies were college kids. It was kind of like a college kid version of Leave It to Beaver. And one of the characters was this uppity, elitist, snobbish, know-nothing character named Chatsworth Osborne Jr. You know, who would name a kid Chatsworth. It's obviously somebody's last name, Chatsworth Osborne Jr. So the kid was a preppy. And it's a very affectionate nickname that I've developed for Tucker Carlson. I haven't used it in a long time, but that is the source of it. You should YouTube Dobie Gillis and you'll see the character. Well, I'm going to now. When I get home, I should be able to make it home tonight. You'll probably recognize the actor who portrays Chatsworth Osborne Jr., but that show is now the 60s. That show is close to 70 years old, and it was in black and white. And I don't remember who starred as Dobie Gillis, but that was the name of the show. There are all kinds of great characters in it. It's basically a bunch of smart-ass little college kids, even back then. It was just about their lives and how they interacted with the professors. I was 9 or 10 years old, said Rush, when the show ran. I'm not even sure my memory is that accurate. But what you need to know is that it was an affectionate nickname. Yeah, Dwayne Hickman. That's right. You'll recognize him. Dwayne Hickman was Dobie Gillis, the star of the show. You'll recognize Chatsworth Osborne Jr. He's a character actor. It's been been in stuff for 60 years, 50 years at least. Anyway, I'm glad you called out there, Mark, not this Mark. Now, that's a great open line Friday question. And Mark, were you offended by that, or were you worried that Chatsworth would be offended by it? Then he later says, Rush after the break, no, I was not describing Tucker as a know-nothing elitist. It's a physical similarity, Chatsworth Osborne Jr., and I named him that when Tucker was hosting Crossfire back on CNN. But I'm not done. I want to address what Chatsworth said. And again, Chatsworth, you can always man up and call me on the phone, or I'll do this for the next 10 years. Greatest audience of all audiences. Now I'm here 5 days a week, 3 hours a day, Mr. Producer. 5 days a week, 3 hours a day. And that's just on radio. So a schmuck picks a fight with me. Doesn't call me. He's got this sidekick, sort of I don't even know who this guy Smith is. What was his guess? He's not like an Ed McMahon figure or something? I don't know why all these big-time smart hosts always have to have a sidekick or somebody, or a guest. I guess that's what they need. Neoconservatives, ladies and gentlemen, as I was briefly stating, these were mostly, it is sort of a nebulous term, or was, but you can see it would be like the Weekly Standard, where Chatsworth Osborne Jr. actually worked with his good friend Bill Kristol. Didn't they find text or something where he called Trump a dumb F too, Mr. Producer? Something like that. If I'm wrong, Chatsburn, you can put a footnote on that one. But he thinks he runs foreign policy in America. Anybody who disagrees with him has to be smeared. And he brings in these brilliant experts who rewrite World War II and the Holocaust, economists who know history, and then apparently comedians who nobody's ever heard of. Certainly I haven't. But that's okay. That's his gig. He can do whatever he wants. I don't even know his platform. Is it subscription rich? I don't know. It is? So he needs to have hits. He needs subscribers. That's all well and good. I believe in capitalism too. But that said, reading is fundamental. We have this site Mediaite, which is really a low-life bunch of morons. And quote me on that, will you, for once, Mediaite? Low-life bunch of morons. Prepubescent, low IQ individuals who actually don't produce any substance, but take the words of other people, slap headlines on them, and in many cases, twist them out of context. So the other day they said I called the envoy a traitor in the title. And then in the body of the piece they said he essentially called him a traitor. I never called him a traitor. I know how to say traitor. I know how to write traitor. So in comes Chatsworth Osborne Jr. And hold on, I got to find exactly what I wrote here. I should ask him because he wrote it down. He thought it was so important. Oh, speaking of the envoy who talked about the neocon element, and I'm guessing he used that phrase because he has no idea what it means. You see, all the neoconservatives are dead. They were old-time Democrats who abandoned the Democrat Party and were hawks when it came to foreign policy. And many of them were quite brilliant. Scoop Jackson, Patrick Moynihan, Gene Kirkpatrick. And as I said, Chatsworth Osborne Jr. was of that ilk, or part of that ilk, as a senior writer, maybe even an editor. at the non-existent now Crystal magazine. Fox News' Mark Levin ripped Witkoff, you see. Called him a traitor. I never called him a traitor. In fact, I never would call him a traitor. But he posts this, and then I posted this. By the way, neocon is a pejorative for Jew. Unbelievable. You see, all the neocons are gone. So why do they keep using the word neoconservative? Notice they don't use hawk, interventionist, neocon. Why do they keep saying neocon? Because many of the neoconservatives are old-time, left-wing, Democrat Jews. Chatsworth knows it. I know it. And many of the people that use that phrase either don't know what they're talking about, but in the magazines and on the internet, they know it. So they're not going to say the Jews are dragging us into a war. They'll say Israel is, Netanyahu is. They're not going to say the Jews this and the Jew. So they use neocon. Chatsworth is smart enough to know what he's doing. He may have transitioned into what he's become today, but he knows what he's doing. I know what he's doing. Now, when I wrote this, by the way, neocon is a pejorative for Jew, unbelievable. Mr. Producer, does that say I called the envoy an anti-Semite? You're either stupid or diabolical to suggest that I did. Take your pick. I'm no fan of the envoy, but I never called him a traitor. I know how to say traitor, and I never called him an anti-Semite. And this is really precious coming from our friend Chatsworth Osborne Jr., who's brought in a conga line, of miscreants, malcontents, and worse, in my opinion. And I say this as a red-blooded American, that a lot of people are getting sick and tired of this game. They're getting turned off by this. The American people do not want the Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran to get a nuclear weapon. They don't want them to have missile technology where they can put a nuclear warhead on an intercontinental ballistic missile and hit the United States. And the fact that they don't want that doesn't make them a warmonger, a neocon, or anything else. It makes them patriotic Americans. That's number one. Number two, I am hoping, you are hoping, that Donald Trump figures out some kind of deal that nobody else has figured out yet, but he's capable of it, to stop them, short of war. But many of us are skeptical. Why? Because we have a brain. Because we know the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran is a terrorist regime that has violated every piece of paper it's ever signed. That's why we're at the 11th hour. That's why Donald Trump's having to deal with it. We know what terrorism means as much as we know what neocon means. So if you're trying to stop the Iranian regime, which chants day in and day out, death to America, death to America, death to America, and tries to assassinate our president, you're not a warmonger, you're a peacemaker. That's what you are. You're not a neocon. The neocons are dead. Now, people use neocon, many people, innocently. They don't know what it means. He knows what it means. And my point to our envoy was, why are you using a word like that? Because you don't even know what it means, as do others. And so the point was to let him know that it's a pejorative. What it's a pejorative war, and it's unbelievable that he spews it. And he'll keep spewing it, and others will too. But I don't have to pretend I'm Helen Keller, that I don't see and I don't hear, and neither do you. And neither do you. And there's a whole pattern over there with Chatsworth Osborne Jr. A whole pattern. Now, he's free to do what he wants. I believe in free speech. Go ahead, buy a subscription. Do whatever you want. It's perfectly fine by me. But don't screw with me, you little bastard, by twisting my words. And you should have picked up the phone, because I would have cleared things up for you. You got sucked in by Mediaite and others. Oh, I'll leave it here for now. I'll leave it here for now. We shall see.